odd that I need to turn up my speaker volume to make the microphone work better.
Well, I hear you loud and clear now.
All righty.
Yep. I'm not sure if April is going to make it or not. She sent me an email stating she's moving to a new office.
Oh, okay.
And their reception was weak. And I love this because this is just a perfect example of how we grow. Every time I step out of my comfort zone, those around me show me my own limiting beliefs. Okay? So, and what I mean by that is in a new location, her awareness was she has limited cell service.
Mm-hmm.
So her cell phone's going to be weak there. It doesn't mean she doesn't have Wi-Fi or a landline, but we feel that initial block and we don't allow ourselves to expand in 360 awareness to other options. And so to me, this is the most beautiful teaching point because I can be the first to acknowledge every time I go to visit my kids in Minneapolis, they're adults. They recognize in me my own limiting beliefs. And whether it's a new game we're playing, where I'm proclaiming I'm not as good as them because they've had more experience. I got a story going on, limiting me, holding me back. Like, Mom, it doesn't have to be. Why would you think that? I'm like, you're right. Like, what the shit? So we all get an opportunity to notice things like that in our life. So let's begin by just taking a deep breath and settling into all that we are and bringing all of our energies back home to us and getting ourselves prepped and ready to that connection with all that we are, to that empty void without an expectation, without thoughts of where we need to be, what we need to be thinking about or doing afterwards, and just coming to this now moment, ready to receive and become all that we are. Take a deep breath, and so it is, and so it shall be. I'm hoping last week was powerful, just with some reflection that you were doing and just really allowing yourself to, first of all, notice you have a process in place, right? You literally have a process that you put in place that you are programming now into your subconscious to really become that dutiful servant to do this for you. And while you sometimes are still aware of your process, there's also other times that you notice it's starting to work for you. So kind of just give me a little feeling and feedback as to what you noticed this last week, because putting it in writing and sharing it with me was part of permeating it for you.
Well, I mean, just like everyone else, got a lot on my plate, got a lot that's, spinning around in the noodle. But it's just the simplicity of keeping more on the positive of things and knowing that if I miss a step, I've got the tools, at the top of the toolbox that I can go ahead and correct myself and get right back on the path that I want to be on.
Yeah, perfect. And that's it for all of us, no matter where we're at every level in your own journey and growth. The words you just spoke are the exact same for all of us. There's none of us that become immune to the humanness of things. And that's why I say this is all about incorporating all four aspects, all four bodies of ourself into one. And loving and accepting each one for what they bring forth and harnessing them in that acceptance and kindness and compassion. Because getting off the journey or stopping to smell the roses or focus on an event or reflect upon something a little longer than you really thought you should have may be exactly what you needed to do, right? So allowing that and understanding that is all part of this journey and the beauty of it in my mind. So I want to take just a few minutes to go over some of the questions on last week's questionnaire and just gently and lovingly acknowledge a few of them and making certain that we understood exactly what was expected. The first question was to put it in your own words of your process. And Lonnie, you so got that. You shared it eloquently on the call last week, then you put it back into writing, and you see that. I'm not real sure that April got that, so I'm going to ask that you, April, when you hear this, to look back on that question one and put it into your own words, because my words, Lonnie's words, are what we use for it. And I know we all journey and grow in our own personal little ways that benefit us the best. So question 2 was, where were you still being foolish with a habit of belief? And that one came up real easy for both of you, and I love that. So we notice where we're still being foolish. Part of what I'm going to share with us today is about emotion. And as I get into this, I'm going to share areas where I still see my foolishness. It's part of our humanness in this journey. So allow it, understand it, notice it, and correct it. And that's all we can do. I love how both of you kind of had the same words on the number 3, and that was where your reality brought you thus far. There's a total calmness that both of you are noticing. And the peace and tranquility that calmness brings forth is so amazing. When we're calm, we're able to make decisions more clearly, more focused, more deliberate, more in alignment with our heart-centered love that we are. And when we're calm, we're less apt to overreact. We're able to respond with right-mindedness in each and every individual circumstance or event. So that calmness is amazing. And I'm giving you like these high 10s here because that's really, really a lot of what this journey is about. The next question was about goal setting. And while this is huge, 4 was, how affected are you by what others think? And this one, I think, is, again, where you've seen yourself in a lot of growth, right? There's a sense of I don't care, whether you've mastered it completely or you know it doesn't really matter, or if you notice someone's response, you reflect on it and move forward, right? You're I guess what I can say is you're totally in alignment with who you are. So congratulations. This is about building your self-esteem. The way we reflect, we grow. It wasn't meant to criticize you or condemn you. It was meant to show you how much you've grown and to really turn up the volume to your own gratitude and appreciation for that growth. So number 5 was about goal setting. And I love this one because while you both answered differently in goal setting, I really see as a reflection mirrored back to me by your responses each week, by your interaction on the text message thread during the week, that this is a struggle. This is not fully comprehended. While April responded that she's boldly setting bigger goals outside of her comfort zone and causing herself to grow and stretch, while that's probably real and valid, and I'm not discounting it, I don't believe the understanding of the goal setting is fully understood. So I do want to take a moment to just settle into this in a way that I can give you a greater understanding. Let's just say, for instance, you were going to remodel your bedroom. And that remodel project was painting, flooring, and redoing furniture. Whether you're going to replace it, refinish it, rearrange it, it's a whole makeover, right? You chunk it down into little projects. Not one of them is fully attainable today. That's why it's a goal. It's something to work towards a bigger picture. And as you chunk it down, you're going to paint the walls. So you need to move everything away. You need to move furniture. You need to remove pictures and hangings now. You need to patch the walls. So each one of these are goals to get ready to paint. You need to pick out the color of the paint. You need to prep the room. So each one then becomes a goal to reach the finished project. It's, Lonnie, I know you do it a lot in your business, in your work, your day in and day out job. You have an overall expected outcome, and you have to chunk it down into smaller, manageable segments to get to the finished result that you achieve. And I'm believing April probably does the same thing with clients, that a client comes into her with an issue and she's got to chunk it down into more manageable steps for them to process mentally, emotionally, physically, to begin to take action steps to getting to the final outcome, whether that's happiness, whether it's peace, whether it's a sense of accomplishment. And so these goals are the same way. You got to have the vision first. And the vision is something I want to talk about today too, because the vision's outside of where you are today. The vision's a 5-year, 10-year goal for where you want to be in life. And that includes emotionally, mentally, physically. And physically, we're talking about our physical body. We're talking about our health, our well-being. We're talking about our time and money freedom, how you spend your vacations and your free time. And, do you have hobbies? Do you have a big circle of friends? Are you interacting? Are you comfortable in these interactions? Are you, so it's a real clear picture. And a lot of it you are stepping into already. Lonnie, I see pictures on Facebook, you're out mingling with different groups of people and different circumstances, different events. You're pushing outside your comfort zone every time you do that. They're just baby steps, but every baby step has a bigger dynamic reflection of who you're becoming along the way. So if you were to share, because you have been setting goals, you just haven't been verbalizing all of them, right? And maybe your wife is helping set some of those for you, volunteering you to speak at church, inviting you into networking events that she goes to, right? Sharing with you tips of how to make that networking experience more manageable or comfortable within you, right? While you didn't have those written down as a personal goal, they were goals. Networking is huge in getting you. So if that wasn't one of your goals, it should be, right? Creating a larger circle of friends to, they do many things. That network of friends that we have, one, keeps us in alignment with all that we are. It keeps us circulating out for future aspects of things. It keeps us helping others. There are going to be times where you're able to help them with something. So did that help you to understand the goal setting?
It does. I think sometimes it does go in one year, bounces around a little bit, and then sometimes trickles out the other year. It's always just been, it's not something I've done In high school, I wanted to go to the foreign exchange. After that, it was like, okay, now what? I don't really know for a long time.
Sure.
So on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, I don't routinely stop to think about what goals are.
Right now, you have a goal to be gainfully employed.
Yes.
In a career that you love, that allows you to wake up every morning feeling excited and vibrant and valued and needed and respected, and you have a vision for what that looks like. So every day in every way, you're setting for yourself small, manageable goals to reach that outcome. Okay. I know for April, when you hear this, you mentioned to me one of yours was health and getting healthy and not smoking, losing some weight. These were all aspects to that. These all become goals. You add something new each week to your plate to master that new step. And each week you put forth something you weren't doing last week. So the goal is something you haven't been doing, and it's bringing forth a new action step. And the reason we practice it for a week is to help permeate it into a new way of being. Whether that's taking an hour to reflect on more goals that you could be putting into place, and every day writing down at least 5 ideas, whether they are going to be acted upon or not. You start sourcing ideas and letting spirit guide you, right? So tuning into those goals is more coming from within. I'm encouraging this to come from within. I'm not encouraging it to be outside of you. I want it to be guiding you. And I want you to be tuning into spirit to get that data. So ask it in meditation, ask it in quieting your mind, ask it in, finding that reflection time midday over lunch or something when you're quiet and alone with just yourself. And what are some things I could be doing to move forward in the direction of my goal that I haven't thought of yet? And let them come to you. Maybe they won't come in the meditation, but later in your day, the idea will come. Spirit will serve you, I promise. But you got to ask the bigger questions. Edison said that if he was given an hour to come up with the most important question in the world, he would spend 55 minutes formulating the right question. Because once you get the right question and ask the right question, the answers flow. So when you continually ask these questions, what's my next step to get me to where I'm going? And Lonnie, for you, it's a career, right? Mm-hmm. And April, you have your own, and it's your health, it's your well-being, it's letting go of the smoking, or it's aligning more with, right foods or right exercises or action steps to keep you in that journey. But each week we add to that. So that's what a goal is. Did that help a little bit?
Yeah, it does. But some of it is, what is the acceptable effort to accomplish a goal? When we say to remodel the bedroom, patching the walls is a goal. But patching the walls is something I can do today. I thought it needed to be a bigger, grander.
So the vision's a bigger thing outside of your reach today. The goals are manageable steps along the way that you do. So the vision is the bigger picture that you can't get that room done today. Mm-hmm. You can't create the new vision. You can put it in your mind. You can have a picture of it, the color, the walls, the flooring, the new bedspread, the placement of the furniture, but it's not doable today. You have a lot of other things to do today. You can't manage that. So the vision is the bigger picture that's outside of your reach for today. And I am going to go into a little bit of that today, and that's going to be part of our homework, is to research really what a vision is and to finding the steps for you to create that bigger vision that gives you something to work towards, Because that's where we see our biggest growth in life, is when we have a bigger vision that's not attainable today. And then we begin to make goals every day that take us closer to it. So in the conversation about the bedroom, the vision was the remodel project. Seeing it in our mind, painting a picture of what it's going to look like, how peaceful, how tranquil we're going to feel in there. Maybe we got a little corner for meditating. Maybe we've got, a little corner to work out, or the closet's completely redone and organized. I mean, you got a big picture going on in your mind about this. But every day you've got to do manageable steps.
Okay.
Got it? Those become the goals to get to the outcome. Okay.
Gotcha.
And like I say, Lonnie, I know you're already doing a lot of these. You just aren't pushing to that degree because you weren't really clear on them. They're happening all around you. Others are helping you get there, right? Your spouse is a big benefit in this because she sees you already where you need to be. She has a bigger picture in her mind, seeing you gainfully employed, and her natural response is just to invite you along to these other things, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. The next question was, how happy are you? Yeah, this one was a given that you're both getting to that point where you're truly finding that you're happy. And if you're not, you're getting back there quickly. How pleased are you with your progress and your growth and your change? I think that was another one that was pretty amazing, that you both felt you've seen such dramatic change, and that you're definitely pleased and filled with gratitude over it. So I'm hoping that this gave you an opportunity to really, feel that gratitude over the week, over the weekend, and then bring it forward to today. What's your greatest gratitude, Lonnie?
That I haven't given up anything. I'm still putting in the work. I'm still making the phone calls. I'm still looking at job boards. I'm still open to critiques and input on cover letters and resumes. I haven't gotten frustrated or down about that I haven't found the perfect job yet, and it hasn't found me. So, it's just, I'm very pleased. I'm still putting in the work, the effort. I'm happy about it. And I'm still content as to where I am today.
Yeah. That's key in all of this. So thank you for bringing that up. Being content where we are is really key in all of this, because when we get that discontent, we create resistance all around us. So our best solution is always to resolve the discontent that's showing up for us. Which kind of brings me right into the segue for today's call, and it's about emotion. And today's all about mastering emotion in our life. Last week was mental mastery. This is emotional mastery. And so I want to start with the dictionary definition of emotion. And they say that it's a natural, instinctive state of mind. It's derived from one's circumstances, our mood, our beliefs, and our relationships with others. And if you think about that, and you think about, that's so true, because you could be around a certain person that creates a different emotional state for you, right? Just based on your history with them, their personality, your relationship with them, so on and so forth. I took it a step further and went to Wikipedia, and they say emotion is a mental state variously associated with thoughts, with feelings, behavioral responses, into our degree of pleasure and displeasure, right? And while we tend to think about emotions separate from the mental aspect of ourselves, they really aren't at all. Emotions are sensed in the body, and that's why we tend to think of them as different than mental. But every emotion that we have is associated with how we think or believe we feel. And now I want to take it just one more step deeper into how we feel. Think about it, because we say it all the time. I feel sad. I feel happy. I feel, we say it all the time, right? I feel. But what is at the root of how you feel? It's based on how you think or how you believe. It's based on your thinking and your beliefs. So for this week, part of our exercise is going to let go of the word feeling. And every time you want to say, I feel, change it to I believe or I think. We're gonna spend a week really gaining some mastery around emotion. Okay? In the 20th century, Paul Ekman identified 6 basic emotions: anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. Later, Robert Puchnik claimed that there were 8 basic emotions, and he grouped them into pairs of 4, like polar opposites: joy and sadness, anger and fear, trust and distrust, surprise and anticipation. I don't really get into all the labels and stuff, but when we're talking about emotions and we're going to be doing the work, it's important that you know some of the words that trigger emotions, right? That anger is an emotion, and that the opposite of that is just fear. If you're finding yourself angry, road rage is one particular one that comes to mind, because a lot of people drive to and from point A to point B to get themselves to work or around town, and inevitably someone isn't paying attention and turning when they're supposed to, and we're in a hurry, and we find ourselves getting angry at the driver, whether they cut us off, whether they didn't turn, whether the light's green and they're not going, whatever it is, whether they ran a red light. We get upset and angry. Generally, that anger is out of fear of something. Fear of being late, fear of not being on time, being out of control. It's time to go, they're not going. So realizing as we go through this week, taking I feel out of it and say I think or I believe is going to give us more control in our own power. And it's going to bring us back to the root of what we do have control over. So this week is about emotional discipline. Yeah, this whole course has been about discipline, if you think about it, right? And you taking back your power, taking back your control. Lonnie, if you look at it as discipline, how would you say you're disciplining yourself today versus 10, 12 weeks ago?
A lot more gentle. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell me the result of that gentleness.
I think it's the moving progress forward continues. So instead of spending time beating myself up that I didn't accomplish something or didn't succeed at something, and then instead of spending the time feeling bad that I didn't do it, you're now spending the time in a positive state, either making progress or doing other things, but at least I'm in a positive state.
Yes.
And putting out the positive energy.
Yes. Kindness and compassion will get you all the way where you need to be, no matter what. but the angst of fighting against something. It said what we resist persists. And this is so valid, so hugely valid. Have you ever seen the Chinese finger trap?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2006, they put one of those on my hand. I fell rollerblading and I had a compound fracture. My wrist was hanging off my arm. And the compression of that break was trapping and pinching the blood flow to my fingers. And while they couldn't get a surgeon in there to do the surgery immediately, they had to relieve the pressure. And they put my fingers in these Chinese finger traps, right? And it's real, right? But if you've ever seen one, your human nature is to pull apart to get free. And that pulling apart keeps you trapped. And that's where I want to really emphasize that you cannot resist emotions. You cannot resist emotions. You can't get out of the emotional state by resisting it. Emotions are based in our thoughts and beliefs. When you allow yourself what I call freedom, and the freedom is found in acceptance. It's arising within you. Accept it. Accept it. Detach from it and observe it. Right? And as you detach from it, you don't get trapped in it. And you're able to see it logically, responsibly, right? Observe the emotion, feel it, and don't attempt to hold on to it. Don't attempt to judge it. Don't attempt to resist it. And as you do, you'll notice it just moves on through. It was just an emotion. But you can look at it. If it's an emotion that rises often, it's wise to look at it because you've got a story going on or a belief that's out of alignment with your higher self. That's all it's doing is showing us. It's giving us feedback. We go back to week 3, that feedback. Everything is really just feedback. And when we practice emotional discipline is stepping into the acceptance and allowing of it, to let it move through. It's just energy that's moving through you. Emotional discipline is to really experience the emotion and release them. Mental discipline was your ability to notice when you've allowed negative or even logic sometimes to dominate your life or direction. And that mental discipline, you have to be paying attention to harness that discipline. Spiritual discipline is your ability to pause in any moment and tap back in to your pure point of power, which is our spiritual connection to all that we are. Some people say they tap into their heart, and they get out of their head and into their heart. Whether you're anchoring in, whatever your method of this is, that is your point of power. It is your point of power. Your spiritual discipline to anchoring in is your point of power, and it will aid you in your mental discipline and your emotional discipline. So I'm going to provide you in the website this week a list of emotions. And for instance, angry, you could feel just grumpy, frustrated, annoyed, defensive, spiteful, impatient, disgusted, offended, or irritated. And they all stem under one emotion of angry. So while you may want to fight, I'm not really angry. I can tell you, I get frustrated or overwhelmed, which is impatience, right? But I'll tell you and fight with you and say I'm not angry, right? So I'm going to provide this list because it's really been beneficial for me to move through this. And I'm going to have you and I don't need to see it or anything, but go through and highlight or circle or check the ones that you do notice in yourself. For instance, hurt. We feel hurt. We could feel abandoned, tormented, aggravated, victimized, deprived, shocked, isolated, betrayed, jealous. To feel anxious. Some of us don't even really understand the word because we don't think we feel anxious too often. But stemming from being anxious is afraid, stressed, vulnerable, confused, bewildered, skeptical, worried, cautious. We all feel anxious. When you boil it down to the sub words that describe it, we all experience anxiousness at any given time. So this is a week to really grow you. And I'm going to give you 2 ideas for exercises that I invite you to pick one and do one. One is fast. Pick a day and abstain from eating any solid food. If you want, you can do, green juices. If you have a juicer or a Vitamix or a way or a means to provide that for yourself, or a store that's local that you could buy it fresh, not something that's been on the shelf for a week. I don't want any toxins in it. I don't want any additives, preservatives, or things that keep it on the shelf. I want it to be live and vibrant if you're going to do it. But I'm going to invite you to push yourself to the limit, because here's what's going to happen. Your mind and your emotions are going to come forward in big, bold ways. And you're going to get a day to really deal with them. It's easier to deal with them if you're busy during your workday than on a weekend. I'm going to be really honest with you. It's going to be so much easier to deal with these emotions as they come up when you've got busyness to preoccupy you and take your side. Last year, I used one Monday a month to completely fast, and every other Monday to do what I called intermittent fasting. And I can tell you that what you'll find, not only is it healthy for our body, it's probably one of the healthiest things you can do for your body, because your body goes into repair mode and healing when you're not continually feeding it with food. And it learns to tap upon its natural reserves of fat and storage to cleanse and clean your organs in big ways as well. So you get a little bit of detoxing. Your kidneys and your liver and they go into modes to really benefit you. So there are huge benefits as well. But I'm asking you to do it for the mental and emotional mastery that you will gain from this. The other option, if you're not too overly fond of the fasting aspect, is to blindfold yourself. I'm not going to say do this during your workday, obviously. So do this in the evening. And get the support of those in your household as well. And I would encourage you to do it over a meal, where it's going to cause you to be more deliberate with every step you make. You're going to move slower. You're going to feel to make certain you're not bumping into things. And literally put a blindfold around your eyes. It's going to cause you to deal with emotions and thoughts that you don't normally deal with. It's going to cause you to step into mastery. If you're going to do it around a mealtime, it's going to cause you to harness the hand-eye coordination, 360 awareness. You don't need to see to be aware. We don't need to see to be aware, but when that fork gets close to our mouth, we can sense it. We can smell the food on the fork. It's going to cause you to tune in to senses you've never tuned into this way before. Have fun with it. I'm going to say 2 or 3 hours. Make it work for you. And when I say work for you, I mean, don't make it easy. Don't just do it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. make it where you push your comfort zone. Even if you sit through a movie with your family and you're blindfolded and all you're doing is hearing the movie, right? Maybe make it a little more challenging where you're doing push-ups and stuff on the floor in your family room, pushing yourself, but not visually being able to see it. Your eyes are closed, you're blindfolded, and you're doing some exercises. So push yourself outside your comfort zone. And write about what you experience, because there's huge growth in this. The fasting alone will take you beyond a comfort. And so right now you've got to have thoughts coming up in your mind, right? I mean, we're just human. So all of a sudden, thoughts come up and it's like, what the shit? Like, what's coming up for you, Lonnie?
It's total resistance.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't. I've got X, Y, Z that doesn't fit in. And it's like, but that's foolish. And it's not as if any of these events are dangerous, because, all right, I'm not going to do the dishes blindfolded.
Yeah.
I may intentionally attempt to go up and down stairs cautious. It's not like I'm going to hold a laundry basket and go up and down stairs blindfolded.
Right.
Not doing it. And as far as fasting goes, we're not saying a total abstinence from any ingestion. It's just no solid.
Yeah.
So all of these are doable. They're just out of comfort zones, and just do it. Try it. It's a new experience. See what the learning is.
So I can tell you, last year, every single Monday was either intermittent fasting or full fast. This year, I brought new things in to challenge myself, to grow myself, right? And I let go of the fasting. But I intended mentally every Monday to intermittently fast and miss breakfast and let my first meal be in the afternoon and only have 2 meals on Monday instead of 3. I have not succeeded once. Not once. Not once. It is the second Monday in April. So it's been about 14 weeks into this year. Today I decided, not because anything for me, but because I'm doing the work with you, I'm holding myself accountable too. Today's my first day of fast. And I can't tell you how much I've had to work emotionally and mentally to grow myself. And it's brought back my awareness to how much I grew last year. OMG. And just in a few weeks, how quickly we lose that ability to harness our mastery. So I'm going to tell you that you will have lots of shit going on, lots of crap coming up, lots of fake and phony stories, lots of BS.
I even bought a diabetes kit, wondering that if I don't eat enough, then my emotional state just has tanked in the past. So I was like, well, maybe I'm pre-diabetic and it's a blood sugar issue. But no, it's not.
Isn't that funny? So I know personally, even if you did have diabetes, you can heal it.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with mindset. I have literally been diagnosed with lupus and had lupus for over a year and saw specialists until one day I was late picking up my kids because I was at a doctor's appointment for my lupus. And when I was late picking up my kids, they were in a private school. They were at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, a Catholic school. And, there's no place to put them afterwards. So they were in the principal's office waiting for me, right? And this was before cell phones, okay? And I'm caught in traffic from Florissant to St. Charles, frantic inside. I mean, just emotionally a wreck. And when I get there and my 3 little babies are bawling, I realized I had to make a decision. I got home and all those drugs went in the trash. And I just decided this is the last day I'm ever going to play this game again. My kids are more important to me than this stupid illness, than this stupid proclamation that they say I have lupus, to all the pain and fatigue I have in my body, the continual focus I'm giving to this. All those drugs went in the trash. Day in by day out, I started giving less focus to my illness. Within 6 months, I saw my doctor out publicly, and he says, "How's your lupus?" And it was the first time I allowed myself to give attention to it. And I said, "Oh my God, it's gone." And he goes, "No, it's not gone. It's probably laying dormant. Come on in for a blood test, and I'll show you. It's still there. You still have it." And I thought to myself, are you kidding? Like, don't interrupt my thought pattern. Do not interrupt my pre-programming. I got this. I live here. This is my temple. It's gone, right? Years later, I went through 3 back surgeries and a grand mal seizure, and I was literally broken. And I rewrote a new script, all on my back, and how healthy and mobile and pain-free I was, and how I had strength and vibrance, and I had strong cores and thighs, and that supported my back. And I've painted a whole new picture. We create our own reality. What are you going to create? But this exercise is meant to grow you. It's meant to push you. There's a reason I wouldn't have given it early on. You weren't ready for it. You weren't ready for it. Now you are. Now you are. You know, another way to really grow yourself, and I just signed up for one that I'm doing this year. I try to do one every year, and it's what's called a medicine walk. It's a day of silence, complete and utter silence. You don't speak a word to anyone. And the way that's set up is that you set an intention for that day, what you most want to grow into. First time I did it, I made an intention of, I continually tune into spirit for guidance, direction, and support. With gratitude and joyful bliss, right? That I'm being guided, right? With thanks. And when we started the medicine walk, I had a mindset that I wanted to go straight down to the water and meditate down there. And I found myself nowhere near the water, in a fork in the road. And I'm standing there like lost. And I've got a map in my hand of the grounds of Shaw Nature Reserve. We're in Shaw Nature Reserve. We all got smudged in, we set our intentions, and we all took off individually at 7 a.m. that morning for our journey. And I'm now at this fork where there's 3 different paths I could go. And it hit me upside the head like a brick wall. What was your intention? And yet I started my journey with my mind in control. I want to go here. From that moment, I turned into surrender. And I stood at each path in the road, and I said, is this the right way? And I stood there and waited for a response from spirit. My intention was to continually tune into spirit for guidance, direction, and support. And I started that journey out thinking I knew best. I want to go to the river and meditate. What the shit? So once I got lost, the rest of that day was more powerful than anything I'd ever experienced in my entire life. Spirit guided me, directed me, and moved me along my way. I'm going to invite you along your journey of fasting or blindfolding yourself to tune into this magical guidance that's here with us every step of the way, to support you, to strengthen that relationship within you. Our time together is coming to a close. Whether you're deciding to re-enroll and go further with me and stay in this circle of support, or whether you think you're ready to do it alone, you're never alone. Spirit's always with you. I wouldn't be doing you justice if I didn't push you to create this strength in this relationship. This is what this is about. It's strengthening your inner power. It's having you tune into it in your most vulnerable moments. And I'm going to wrap this up with a quick story. There's a farmer who has a 1,000-acre farm. 3 of his prized horses got out. And all the townspeople heard about his loss and said, "Oh my God, this is so terrible." And he said, maybe not. 3 days later, those 3 horses found their way home with a herd of wild horses. And the townspeople heard about this and said, "Oh my God, this is so wonderful. Look at all these new horses you have. And your son is such a great trainer. You now have all these horses that you can train and then sell." And he says, maybe not. His son gets upon one of these wild horses and is thrown, breaks his leg in 3 places. The entire town comes to his home and says, "Oh my God, you've been tormented with this horrible howl that these horses brought you." And he said, maybe not. A week later, the draft came through, and we're collecting all of the eligible young men that were physically fit and able to go. And his son wasn't drafted into the Army because he wasn't physically fit. He had a broken leg. And the townspeople came to him and said, "Oh my God, what a gift. You are so lucky." And he said, maybe not. The moral of this story is we don't see the bigger picture. Spirit does. There's a power living and breathing and moving inside each one of us that knows everything we're doing is for our best behalf. Tune in. Tune in to get guidance for your vision, because Spirit has a bigger picture for you, big plans for you, to prosper, to have abundance, to share that abundance, to grow in abundance. And it starts with you, your family, your loved ones, and all of those that you reach. But tune in for your goals. What goals are coming forth out of me today? And how can I best serve in stepping forward in those goals? What goal can you set this week, Lonnie, for you? And then I'm going to turn the recording off, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to talk about your email to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goal for this week would be to get updates to cover letter and resume that both you and another friend of mine suggested, and send out 10 resumes.
Yeah.
I'll apply for 10 jobs. So I'm writing that down.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you have to apply only at places that have positions open.
Mm-hmm.
If Spirit guides you to a company, to a particular business, trust your guidance. Trust your guidance. That's what this is all about. It's really acting on your intuition. And that's what the homework lesson is going to help you with as well. Tuning into intuition. Because it's like a muscle. You go to the gym, you work out. April, you do yoga, you do exercises. You do these things to strengthen you. This is your greatest power. It's inside you. You got to strengthen that muscle as well. And listening to the intuitive guidance is all part of the journey. That's beautiful. So I got another page of reflections for you to tune into. You don't have to send these to me. They're for you. But if you want to, you can. It's all meant to really take you to the next step. But start giving some thought to where you are in your forward movement, your forward direction, where you're going to be parking yourself with a circle of support around you, because that's what's really key in continuing your growth. I am going to link you to the assessment, and I want you to fill out a new assessment and schedule with me a call, one-on-one call, to kind of talk with where you've come, where you're going, and kind of give yourself an opportunity to paint that vision and picture for what it looks like for you, whether you stay in a circle of support with me or moving on your own. There's no right or wrong. Whatever you choose is right for you. I believe that with my whole heart. So, yeah, that's the end of this call, and happy week of growth, because it's going to be a big week of growth. I'm really pushing you this week with an exercise that's going to grow you more than you can imagine. Just dealing with the emotional aspects. I mean, I'm dealing with them just this morning. I'm only, from 5 o'clock this morning till now into this, and I can say I probably didn't even start having mental thoughts till about 7. So really only for 5 hours, and they're becoming louder for me as the time goes on, and I'm just doing water. I committed to just water today. So I've done a master cleanse for 10 days before, and I can tell you after day 3, the freedom from not thinking about what I'm going to eat, prep, clean up, is huge. After 3 days, I started realizing, oh my God, the time that went in to thinking about food all day long. What am I going to have for a snack? I'm hungry. You keep giving thought to everything to feed the body. And it was so freeing. I felt like I had an extra 3 hours in every day, and I felt that much more productive in all that I did. So the mental growth that comes from this is really dynamic. It's beyond what you can imagine. So